Hey everyone, so I'm going to show you how to do on-edge quilling, or at least the way that I do it. This is not the only way to do it. There's lots of different ways, but this is the way that I like to do it. Well, it really depends on exactly what I'm doing, but this is a very basic way that I like to do it. So what I'm going to do is start out with my materials. I have some glue. It's the PPA matte glue that I like to use. This is just to put my glue in. And then I have some pins, got a little brush for my glue. I'm going to use this as well for my glue to actually put it on. I'm going to get some wax paper. Okay, because what I'm going to do is essentially create the image and then transfer it to the actual paper that I like to use. When I do on-edge quilling, I don't like to draw out the image on the paper. So like here's my paper, it's completely blank, but here's the image that I want to create. Very simple this time. But I don't like to just draw it on here and then try to edge it out, because then you're going to end up with more glue on here and it may, I don't know, it may kind of look odd. It just, sometimes I just don't like to do it. Now for some of the more intricate and more detailed on-edge quilling that I do, I will actually kind of etch it out here, meaning that I don't draw it, but I will take like a copy and I will use something similar to like this here and create the lines on here so I can actually follow it more easily if I need to. Okay, so I've got my image. I'm just going to do a leaf. This is a very, very simple project. And I'm going to pin the wax paper in place. And we want to use the wax paper so that it doesn't stick to the other paper, all that good stuff. Oh, the other material, obviously, quilling paper. Sorry, you do need that. Okay. Now, sometimes, or you can get like a precision tip glue bottle if you want, in order to make this a little bit easier, but I just don't have one right now. I used to, and I think it is not here. I think it's somewhere in North Carolina, where I moved from a couple of years ago, and so it's kind of lost. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of glue out. I'm going to try to get a little bit of glue out. Ugh, the bottle is stuck. Here we go. Okay. So I get a little bit of glue. First things first is that when you are doing on-edge quilling, on-edge quilling means, if you'll go back and you can watch some of the quilling videos that I've done before, I took like a quilling strip and I actually folded it, or, you know, curled it using the little curling tool, and then bent it into shape. But on-edge is actually just kind of using the edge of the quilling paper to create these images. So I'm going to take one piece. I have this here, and I'm going to fold it in half. Ooh. I need a sturdier place to work, you know? But crafters, we work where we can. Right now, I am working with a chair, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. My workspace is actually being used right now for some commissioned pieces, so I didn't want to take a chance of misplacing those. So I'm working on a chair right now. Okay, so I've folded it in half. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this kind of, it's like a rubber edge brush, and I'm just going to brush on glue on one side of this strip. Now you don't want too much. Sorry, you might be able to hear my cat in the background. She's a very talky cat. She always has been. She just, yeah, that's just who she is. So you want to make sure that you get glue all the way down. You don't want to leave any spaces without glue. Otherwise, it's going to cause problems. It's going to cause like little pockets later on. So all the way down. But you don't want too much. There's no need. Just a little bit. And this is kind of a slower drying glue, so I've got plenty of time. There's no need to rush. There we go. Okay. So now that that's done, I'm going to go back to the fold and I'm going to start pressing it down and try to keep it as straight as possible. Take your time, don't rush. I think that for a lot of beginners, that's what we like to do, is we like to rush through things. Because, you know, we look at it and we're like, oh, that looks really easy, let's just rush through that. That's not how it works. So I'm just kind of pushing down, making sure that I don't have any bubbles. Okay, so when that's done and it's all dry, it's time to start actually putting it on here. So what you do, I'm going to use this now. I'm just going to get like a little bit of glue there and I'm going to put it right at the edge, just a dot on top of that. And then I'm going to put my edge, oh wait, one more step before you do this. You have to tear off the edges. If you'll remember from my other quilling video, that is so that you have like nice edges to work with, so that they blend a little bit easier, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to use a pin or two just to kind of keep this in place with that glue. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that this dries before you keep going, because if you don't let it dry, it's just going to keep slipping. So I'm going to pause the video and let this dry, and then I will continue on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, it's mostly dry. It's not completely dry, but it is mostly dry. So what I'm going to do is try not to move it too much, is follow the lines. Just do a couple of dots here and there, all the way down with glue. And then I am going to put pins periodically through to actually hold it in place. So the idea is to kind of bend it just a little bit and put the pins in place, and that will keep it where we want it to be. Whether or not you put it on the right or the left of the leaf or the quilled piece really just depends on the paper itself. It'll kind of tell you which way it needs more support. I know that seems really weird, but when you do this, you'll understand. Okay. Now, for edges like this really sharp turn, I typically prefer to either cut or rip that off. Reason is because, like, if I were trying to bend it, ooh, came up a little bit. If I were to bend it, it could be not as tight as I want it to be. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue here on the edge here. That was a little too much. There we go. Don't need too much. But you know what? I do want to put a little bit just right there. The cool thing about quilling paper is that it really doesn't take very much to glue it into place and everything. It's just very easy to put where you want it to be. Okay. So now I have it over here, and I'm going to do the exact same process on this side that I did before. little glue dots. Try not to do that. And then using the pens to kind of curve it and put it in place. Your pens are literally going to be like your best friend with quilling, for sure. Now, depending on how intricate this is, it's going to take you, it could take you longer. It just really depends on exactly what you are creating. This, I try to do a really quick one for you guys, just to give you the basic idea of what to do. And then I'm going to put that one right there. Okay, so you want to make sure that you let it completely dry. Okay, again, that's really, really important, to let it completely dry. Now, this middle piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually measure out the right piece, or the right size. But I think what I'm going to do is, instead of attach it here, because it's only going to have this one point of attachment, so it's not going to be quite as sturdy, what I'm going to do is actually glue that one onto the paper separately. Okay. Alright, so we're going to let it dry. So I wanted to say really quick, if you are worried that it's not going to hold its shape, what you can do is, when you're actually putting the glue down, just put more of those little dots of glue. You know, just, you can do kind of just a line, kind of like this. You can even kind of spread it out, so it's just a really thin line of glue. That'll help to hold its shape. And then of course you can always, if you have like a whole bunch that's kind of sticking out and it's bothering you, you can always just kind of snip it off with some really sharp small scissors. So that's perfectly fine if that is what you need to do to make sure that your object stays in place. Especially like if you're doing something that's going to take you a really, really long time, it's better to have a little bit more glue on the bottom that you can kind of cut off if there's too much later than not enough and your entire thing loses its shape. Okay, so it's had plenty of time to dry, so it should be good. So now I'm going to just take out the pins. And remove it from the wax paper gently. Okay, so now I have my leaf. Like I said, there's a little bit of glue there. You can always just kind of snip that off if you want. And then on the bottom, put just a very small amount of glue. And again, you don't want too much. And handle it very carefully. It is delicate. Okay, and then pop it onto your paper. And I'm going to make the little, I'm gonna let this dry over here. So I'm just gonna make this little bit right here in the middle. So I'm gonna take some paper, quilling paper. I'm not gonna double this one up, because, I don't know, I want it to be thinner. I don't want it to look so, I don't know, thick. This is something that I like to do, and you'll see it a lot in my work, where I do just take like a thin paper, and I just kind of curve it with my fingers, especially if I'm doing like some detailed work. I'll show you with like the Meisners. The misers. That's what they're called, not Meisners. Sorry, I teach theater, and Meisner is or was an acting coach. But the misers, this is a lot of what I did for a lot of their features, is I would just curve it with my fingers, and you just change the tension. And when you do that, you know, if you want like a harder curve, you just put more tension into it. It's kind of like, yeah, like that. But I want really a delicate curve here. So just very gently. It's a little bit too much. Yeah, we'll go with that. Rip it off. This is where having tweezers will come in handy, and so I'm going to go grab my tweezers really quick. Okay, so I have my tweezers. Now these are amazing tweezers. As you can see, they're closed without putting any pressure on them. They will open when you do this, but they actually close on themselves. This is like the best thing I've ever bought for quilling. So if you can find tweezers like this, get it. It makes life so much easier when it comes to quilling. And I'm just putting a little bit on there. And I'm going to put it in and release. That's OnEdge Quilling. Okay? Oh, my cat just moved the paper. Sorry. But that's it. You can create all kinds of different designs with this, and I will show you a couple of examples of what I've done in the past with OnEdge Quilling, because I absolutely adore creating these kinds of looks.